you're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. And by thinking that you're sitting still, you're only fooling yourself.
All right, everybody, we are back with another special edition of In the Den here at One SEO. I'm Bernie Olilla, and I'm revisiting the conversation after the show we just had with the Executive Director of the Texas Pest Control Association, Mr. Todd Kercheval. Todd, how are we doing today?
Bernie, I'm fantastic. I'm excited to be back on the program and ready to really enjoy and have a conversation about Expo.
Yeah, I'm ready too. And I think especially because I knew that our last talk was going to be really good. I knew people were going to be interested in it, but to see the level of engagement that we had, it really warranted a part two here for us, man. So thanks for being with us. And I want to start kind of at the top here because, you know, we go to a lot of different events across the country at One SEO, and we came into contact with each other. That event that you guys had in Fort Worth was one of the best ones I've ever been to because of the atmosphere you guys were able to foster. Tell me a little bit about, you know, your experience there. How did it go for you guys? Was it the way you wanted it to be? Just give me a little bit of insight on your end.
Absolutely. It was our second year, Bertie. I want to remind you that last year was our inaugural year. This was year number 2 in the same location, same space, and we broke records. Even though it was year 2, we broke records. We had an amazing number of exhibitors come out. We had an engaged group of attendees. We had more attendees this year than we had last year. But I think more important than both of those things, which are number-driven things, there was a sense of excitement amongst our attendees, and I really believe that that's twofold. One, we're not going to take credit for that, but we're certainly going to give credit for that to the speakers and to the educators that we brought in because people are excited to learn. Secondly, we're going to give credit to our exhibitors because when you guys create a good energy on the floor, man, that carries over to the rest of the conference.
Yeah, and I think you guys did a really good job selecting the vendors that were going to be there, and kind of how everybody there, we were all solution oriented as exhibitors and vendors. And I think also from the speaker side too, you guys did it. It was just great because you didn't have people coming up there. And let's face it, a lot of events, there's a lot of rah-rah stuff and not really anything substantive or salient. But you had speakers that were getting up there, and even the coach that you had talking about, you know, just standards and how to run a business, how to like practically go about your day-to-day. What kind of person is the right person for me? Just all these different ideas flowing out and a lot of actionable stuff for me. That's what I saw.
Good. Yeah. And we try to do that. You know, there's only so many ways to kill a bug. And in the pest control industry, that's, you know, most of these guys are going out and using the same 1, 2, 3 punch to do the actual job itself. But we believe the things that really separates pest control companies for themselves is the same thing that sets other companies apart from themselves. And that's, how does the business operate?
Yeah.
How do we look at the bottom line? How do we look at, you know, onboarding new customers and those types of things? And so that's what we're trying to offer is, yes, we certainly have a technical track to improve the bug killing process, but we also really want to bring the opportunity of bringing high-level business people in front of our attendees, our members, our non-members, our pest control industry folks to help them get a leg up if they want it on the business side.
Do you think that the people that were there, like the attendees, any kind of feedback on that being a focus of it? Anybody say anything like, or what, any ideas whatsoever from people about, you know, that whole thing about growing the business, not just there to buy things and hang out?
Absolutely. And so we, like every organization that holds a meeting like that, we do a survey afterwards, and we're always tickled. We got quite a few surveys back, more than we got last year, but we got quite a few surveys back, enough that I feel like we got a good read on the attendee opinion of this show. One of the things that people really commented, several different comments, is the opportunity to find a mentor or ask questions to other companies. And nobody's asking questions on the technical side, but they're asking questions about, hey, how are you doing your fleet tracking? How are you doing this? How are you doing that? And that is exactly what we wanted to do. We believe if you put the right people in front of a classroom, you'll get structured knowledge. But we also believe if you create opportunities with some of the receptions and some of the networking opportunities, now we're going to get practical application, practical knowledge. And I think that's absolutely the best experience.
Yeah. And you were really invested too from the event standpoint. Like you pulled us all aside at one point and had like a little mini town hall. You had the microphone and you were talking to everybody. You were walking around and making sure everybody was like not having a good time, but having the best experience possible while they were there. So I think like not only me, but like the attendees there really appreciate that kind of stuff too. You don't see it too often.
Well, it's important that we're meeting y'all's needs as well. I mean, without you guys, that we're 50% without if our exhibitors aren't there. And it's a pride point for myself and my team, Jesse Reynolds, who you work closely with. It's important for us to make sure that our exhibitors are getting a great experience, because I really, and this is just the way we grew up, Bernie. My dad never walked up and said, "Man, you're doing an absolutely great job at that you've done 1,000 times." My dad would walk up and say, "Hey, here's where you could be a little bit better at this." And I believe in that. There's always positive reinforcement in what you've done well. But what we want to extract from our exhibitors and from our attendees is, how can we offer a better product to you? The only way to do that is get out and talk to you guys.
Yeah. And, that kind of piggybacks into like one of the bigger conversations that I think, you and I definitely wanted to have as we're kind of going through this. That's more on the technology side of this whole thing, right?
Yes.
And role, like it playing a bigger part in the pest space, not just in Texas, but literally everywhere. These guys, you mentioned it before, like tracking their routes, the P&Ls, accounting, hiring, like, HR stuff, a lot of technology getting more into the space, people embracing it more. Tell me a little bit about what they've told you from that side, or what are your, just overall observations of that kind of being more a part of the industry?
Oh, absolutely. So technology has started playing a big role in the pest control industry a few years ago with some of this remote monitoring and really on the pest control side of it. If you have, a 500,000 square foot warehouse, it's not practical to do a traditional, rodent type of program or something. You're going to have some of the remote monitoring. And so the technology is really entered in. What we've seen, the progression of technology, is our industry went a lot from keeping books in a notebook, keeping books in an old journal type thing. And then we saw some of the different programs come in and it really integrates some of the office activities. But now what we're seeing, and for the first time, just like One SEO, we've got our industry has recognized the importance of technology and modern day marketing of their services and of their companies, and integrating those different things into it. I personally believe in, Bernie, I'm a kind of an odd age. I'm 49 years old. So you could meet a 49-year-old that's completely against technology, or you can be one that has had nothing but technology in their entire life. I kind of fall somewhere in the middle of that. I will tell you that whether it's our management company or a pest control company, if an owner or manager is not embracing and exploring the technology advancements out there for communication, for touch, for marketing, then they're really leaving a lot of effort on the table and probably are not getting the best ROI on dollars spent in that space.
Yeah. There's a lot of barriers too, I think, for people, like a lot of the barriers to entry in technology, Sometimes my experience is people don't know really how to think about it, especially when I do marketing. They think like, I guarantee right now, even in the pest industry, if you think of a problem you have for your business, there's some tech out there that is going to be able to solve that problem for you and help you move forward. So I think, to me, just promoting that kind of thing around people in the show or even in the industry in general really helps them not just embrace it, but like kind of like take the word embrace out, but like want it, recognize their need for it.
Absolutely. And I view technology as having its place everywhere. For example, I think that there's programming software out there that if you're still keeping your books in a journal and you've got more clients, you probably need to get on a program that keeps your books electronically and gives more transparency to where your numbers are. I think that's important. I think there's technology out there for the technician in the field as it relates to identification. The days of needing to carry an identification book around that's 500 pages and where do I find this species, versus you can both look it up in a book that's a digital book, or you can take a picture of it and boom, here it is. I think embracing those kind of technologies is where we need to be. Now, one thing that I think we're seeing in the marketplace today is, how do I get, my company name ahead of everybody else? And I think that technology is going to be, I think it's going to come into play, and I think we have to utilize it, but it's not a replacement. And I think this is important. It's not a replacement for once you onboard that client, that personal service. I think we have to never lose sight of pest control is the people business. No bug ever hired a pest control company to come eradicate themselves. It's always the homeowner. And so I think that where technology is a huge aid to us, it does not completely replace the opportunity to feel comfortable on a one-on-one, face-to-face basis.
Yeah, and I think technology can kind of give you that. It gives you an opportunity, especially online, to present yourself the way you want to be presented. So we see, your face, we see your truck on a website, for instance. We know exactly what we're going to get. People are smiling. People are happy to come and serve you. Not every, you don't have to have your price up there, but you can have testimonials from other happy people. That way there's no leaving it up in the air. So you embrace it now. And like you say, like a lot of times people are kind of bent on sticking with like I'm a face-to-face guy. It's like, great, you can still be a face-to-face guy, but your customers are looking for a face-to-face guy on the internet.
Absolutely. It's not one or the other. It's not, I think incorporating both of those things. So, Bertie, as you well know, the Pest Control Association in Texas is managed by a management company, and we own that company. We also own a lobby firm. And so that puts us in the capital in Texas on a daily basis. And I can tell you, technology has changed a lot in that we can listen to hearings. We can watch what's happening on the House and Senate floor. We can send emails requesting meetings.
Yeah.
All those things help make the face-to-face meeting the perfect opportunity. We know exactly what we're talking about. So there's countless examples in countless industries of where if you'll pair the two things together, man, that's when you're really getting to the cream, the top of the cake, the icing.
Yeah. I want to go back to something that you said a couple minutes ago too, and it's the idea of like not a replacement, but more like a supplement.
Absolutely.
So if you're still like you have a great brand reputation in the community, awesome. You have, let's say, a site or you're sending an email, whatever it might be. You don't have to get rid of anything you're doing right now, right? You don't have to stop canvassing in a neighborhood, right? You don't have to stop putting ads in a magazine. You don't have to stop doing TV and radio. Now you have this whole other opportunity to reach customers in a different place that they're looking. And sometimes there's a lot of overlap too. So if I'm driving in my car and I'm listening to the radio and I hear, an ad for a pest control company, let's say I go to look for one on the internet, and I don't hire them right then because it's not quite the season yet. And then I leave. I was on that website. I get an ad that comes back at me, So it's the opportunity for you to not to be a pest, no pun intended, for your customers, but it's an opportunity for you to make sure that you're everywhere when they need you.
Bertie, there's an old rule of thumb in advertising. I assume it still holds true today, maybe even more so. But somebody's got to see your ad 3 times before they even pay attention and start recognizing your ad. So then on time 4th, 5th, and 6th, now we're in the decision-making time. Now we're in hey, there's XYZ Pest Control Company, and I know exactly what that is. So I think by incorporating it into what you're currently doing, I think it completes the deal. I also think it gives you an opportunity, and this is one of the things I like about technology. I'm a numbers guy. I ran the budget for the state of Texas. You can't have enough data points for me. I love them. But it gives you an opportunity to revisit where your effort is being useful and where it's not, from the time of day to what the message says to the words you're using in your post. It's awfully tough to get that type of feedback on a hard copy mail.
Yeah,
you can blank it, but you don't get a lot of response back.
Yeah, I think tracking is a big thing too. There's another old saying, Henry Ford or whatever, half of all advertising works. It's a matter of figuring out what half does, right? When you're thinking about doing when you're thinking about doing it on Google or Facebook or whatever it is, the data is the king. It's the king, it's the queen, it's the jester, it's all of it. You track everything down to like the specific campaign, and like you just said, even post copy that might have brought you something. So the numbers are right there at your fingertips. Listen, if you're starting a business, you are no doubt a numbers guy. So having that data accessible to you is going to help you not embrace it, but just jump right in feet first and be completely happy and like feel comfortable knowing that you have the numbers to back it up. You're able to track everything. Yeah.
One thing, Bertie, I think is important is I'm going to go back to something I said a few minutes ago, and that was about myself and my age. I think we have a responsibility, certainly as an association. I think as a company that's in this space for you guys, I think we have a responsibility to those guys that are older than me to make sure they have the tools at their fingertips to understand what the new technology is. you may have run a successful business for the last 25 years, but you bring something new in. We need to make sure that you're not afraid to learn and not afraid. Don't be afraid of what you don't understand. The pest control industry is very unique in it is a family business. There are so many succession type companies out there. And we know, certainly from agriculture, my background, that a lot of times we do it this way because we've always done it this way. And so I think we don't want anybody to ever hunt for the reason why you should embrace technology. We want to have it right there so they don't have to ask. They can just, on their own time and leisure, open it up. Oh, I see the value now.
Yeah. Do you think there's a lot of fear in that?
I think depending on the demographic that you deal with, I think you can. I think you can get into rural America, and I think you've had internet for a less amount of time. I mean, obviously we know, the feds have put this huge rural broadband program into effect for the last several years to make sure we can get broadband out in rural America. So I think depending on where you're dealing with, you can certainly have it. I think there is a little bit of, gosh, I've got so many other things to do. Many of these pest control companies are smaller companies. Don't confuse smaller with not successful. They're wildly successful, but they are smaller. And it's not that I'm afraid. Do I have time to learn something else with everything else I've got going on? So I think those are some of the things. I don't think it's fear of, I just don't believe in any of this. I'm not going to do it. I think that's the smallest category.
Yeah. What are some other notable, challenges that you think people are maybe facing up against and just with embracing the tech side of, growing a business really and hitting what your goals are?
I think, I have some involvement in different organizations. And I'll tell you, because I think it speaks not just to pest control, but all of it. But we're dealing with a deal right now that in this organization, many of the members of this organization are of an older generation. And we're trying to really move forward with our advertising, with our newsletters and that stuff in more of a digital age. I think we have to recognize, and we being those of us that run companies, those of us that run associations, that we're not going to get some of our older generation to learn a bunch of technology. So we don't want to close one door only to open the other. I think we need to be patient and make sure that we're still accommodating where we can some of the old ways while slowly incorporating in some of the newer opportunities and technologies that are out there and available.
Yeah, and I was just going to ask you what advice you would give to people out there that might be kind of on the fence about, do I jump in? Do I not jump in? How do I think about this the right way? What kind of mindset do you think they should have?
I think they should have the mindset of, let me start talking to people. Let me go ask. I think there is so much, certainly in our industry, there are so many people in the pest control industry that are willing to share their experiences with others. Now, you get two guys in the same city, 3 miles from each other. They may not be, but, I don't know if you've heard this or not, Ernie, but Texas is a big-ass state. So if you've got somebody that wants to explore technologies, work through the association, work through your own channels and ask those who have taken those steps. But sitting and doing nothing, no company sits in neutral and stays still. You're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. And by thinking that you're sitting still, you're only fooling yourself. And technology is a big step forward. And I think we need to make sure that we need to be willing to share our experiences with people and creating, like at Pest Expo, creating opportunities for those who have been down that road to share with those others.
Yeah. And, those kinds of behaviors are the things that when you see people doing that kind of thing, you can really start to see a shift coming in any kind of industry. And to see a lot of the pest, even had Bill Hoffman up there from Hoffman Pest. He gave a presentation there. A lot of us had the chance to talk to him afterward, but that's a guy that's been wildly successful. Is very interested in growing his business and maybe not sticking with the times because he's clearly with the times, but seeing what's out there so that he can help himself and his employees. And because he talks a lot about having families that, work for him or people in their livelihoods and everything.
Absolutely. We were so happy to have Mr. Hoffman come all the way to Texas to be a part of our panel and talk about community. We had he and Dennis Jenkins on stage from ABC up in the Dallas area talking about community. And he is absolute perfect example of somebody who has done it one way for a long time, but is willing to explore and embrace not replacement, but exactly what we were talking about earlier, inclusion. Some new technology to be included in what he's already doing. And I think it's going to take the Mr. Hoffmans, the Mr. Jenkins, these guys out there to tell their stories about their process to get some of the smaller guys involved and feeling comfortable about moving forward with it.
Yeah. What kind of like, in terms of like the pest industry, I know that's a lot of family operated company, which is a lot of what my business is too, family businesses. A lot of them just some of them want to grow and then they want to exit to generational wealth, right? That's a big trend you see in like HVAC and plumbing, electrical. What about the pest industry? Where do you see that going as a guy that's literally in it every single day?
So there's a lot of mergers and acquisition activity in the pest control industry, and I think it covers the entire spectrum. So you've got people that start companies that start off as technicians, start companies, grow it to 2 or 3 to a good, and that's what they do, and that's all they care about doing. They've created a company, and this is great. We've got to have this. They've created a company so they can have a good job, and then you've got you've got folks who are more entrepreneurial or risk takers, and they want to grow for the big sale, and they're looking to do that. I think that it's a great opportunity for a larger company to come in and buy. As much as they're buying that company, they're buying that customer base. And I think as long as it's an industry that is driven based off one rooftop after another, I think you're always going to have a healthy M&A in that, because the more rooftops you have, the more important pest control is across the country. I don't need to remind everybody that pest control was deemed one of the essential services during the pandemic. As we become more populated, and certainly in Texas, as the fastest growing state in the United States, I think that you're going to see a lot of small companies grow to be mid-sized companies, get bought by larger companies.
Yeah, up here in my neck of the woods anyway. You see a lot of the same 3 big companies, and then whenever you see a smaller guy, I'm like, yeah, there you go. And you see the other guys out here, they're coming out and they're having different solutions, right? Like we have even like the pollinator friendly exterminators, you know what I mean? Like different solutions that people offer. So they're providing the same thing. They're solving the same thing for their customer, which is like, I don't want mosquitoes, or I don't want whatever X, Y, and Z in my backyard. How can you solve it? So these guys are having different solutions and different service offerings that they're providing to people. Not unlike you see an HVAC guy doing a service plan. You know what I mean? Or
I think it's important. The companies that we see in Texas that are really large, and this isn't exclusive, but the companies that really tap into the multiple service opportunities. I'm at your house doing pest control. I noticed that you have some yard issues, some lawn issues. I'm here doing your pest control and your yard. Now you trust me. Did you know that we have full service also? I really applaud those companies that really embrace, here we have a customer base. Let's be a one-stop shop for that customer base. And I think that's where you see a huge growth in some of these companies.
Yeah, I think not unlike, just to go back again to HVAC, they start incorporating plumbing, electrical. They want to be full mechanical. We got these other guys out there that are moving, pests, and then they, patios, like you said, and pools. Any other kind of outside service, that your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs is, whatever company it is that you just started with on the pest side.
That's exactly right. And I think that again gets back to, this is a people business. Once I feel comfortable with X, Y, and Z, then I feel comfortable with X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
It's human nature. And we certainly have become, and this is not a slap to society at all. I don't believe in that type of stuff. But we are certainly more service-oriented today than maybe we had when I was growing up or when you were growing up. If you had a plumbing issue at my house and you were a kid, you know who you said? You said the youngest kid, the smallest kid, the one that could fix the plumbing underneath, because it was most of it pier and beam housing. You sent that kid underneath the rent house. Well, that happened to be me. And so, and today we see a lot more people call it a service professional for those types of things. And so I think it's also important to promote the opportunities in service-oriented businesses because in Texas, the average age of your electrician, your plumber is quite a bit older than what it should be, and we're all wondering where is the next generation going to come from to do these service-oriented jobs.
Yeah, it's a really good industry to be a part of for growth, for making a living for yourself, growing a company. It's just it's an exciting time and an exciting industry. Who would have thought, however long ago people would be saying that about pest control and exterminators? No offense.
But it's true.
Yeah.
We're working on a program right now, burning through Pest Expo. We had Brian Daniel, the chairman of the Texas Workforce Commission, come, and we're in the middle of working a workforce program with the Texas Workforce Commission because we don't want pest control to be a job of last opportunity. We want it to be an opportunity of first choice because it's not being an exterminator. It's working in an industry that truly limitless opportunities if, like anything else, if you're willing to work hard, put your shoulder to the wheel, you can move forward and do well.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And Todd, I don't want to take up, your whole afternoon. I could talk to you for a while. It's been another great interview with you, but there's your event, the Southwest Texas Pest Expo. And I know that there's a lot of other exciting things happening for you guys in the industry. Tell everybody about what we're expecting next year, some of the benefits of joining. Just give us some details.
Absolutely. On the very basic side, benefit of joining the Texas Pest Control Association if you're in the industry is certainly you get a reduced price at Pest Expo and all of the other things. More importantly than that, we are continuing to drive forward to be the industry representative for knowledge, information, for support, for advocacy at the Texas Capitol. All of those things are going to come together in one event again in 2024 in June, same time frame, a little different date, same week though. For our next Pest Expo, we believe we're going to grow again. We're looking for another big increase in our attendees. I think our exhibit floor is going to one more time be absolutely fantastic. But we want to continue to bring, and we are trying to fill a niche, and that is to bring owners and managers, decision makers to our exhibitors, and deals can be done. As much as we would like to, and I address this because a couple of people say, I can't believe you don't have 400 or 500 people there. We want this to be an opportunity for the decision makers and the vendors to come together. We love our techs, and we do a couple of different events throughout the year, live and in person, for our techs and really give great education. But we are trying to really drive down the middle of the road with those owners and managers and continue to offer that. We're not going to deviate from that. And so we're going to give them that again next year in Fort Worth.
Yeah, great location again in Fort Worth. But I think from where I'm sitting on the vendor side of it, and from what I talked to with other people, not everybody was from Texas, man. People came from all over. People come from everywhere.
Yeah, we had people from literally all over the country. It's certainly, we call it the Texas Pest Expo, and we invite our surrounding states of Texas. But we've had people from Arizona, we've got people from Georgia, we've got people from New York, we've got people from all over. That's just the attendees. Our exhibitors were from all over the United States as well as outside the country with a couple of companies. So we are bringing together an opportunity. That's one of the reasons we're not offering Texas continuing education credits, because we get those at different times of the year. We just want to bring education. If you're in the pest control industry in New York, Texas, Boston, New Mexico, Seattle, Washington, we want you to be able to come and walk away with value.
Yeah. Canada, too. Yeah, people from Canada there.
Yeah, hell yeah, we'll let the Canadians come in. We love those guys.
We want them. Bring the maple syrup, man.
That's right.
Yeah, man. No. Well, it was a great event. I know we're a month out, but I know us here at One SEO, we're very excited about the relationship that we have with you guys. And we encourage everybody out there in the pest space, check out Todd and his team, check out the Texas Pest Expo, call Jesse, call a number, whatever it is, and get yourself down there next year. You can book now too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can reach out to us right now and we can save you a spot for next year on the attendee side and on the vendor side. We're open for business 7 days a week. The staff, the team doesn't like for me to say that, but the truth of the matter is, if you call us, you're going to get us. And so even with the question, Bernie, even with that one-off type thing about something in the industry, man, we're here to help. All they got to do is reach out. And we look forward to working with you guys on an ongoing basis, because this relationship that the Texas Pest Control Association and One SEO has created is something that's really going to benefit not just you and I, but it's going to benefit the industry. And that meets with the goals we've set.
Yeah, you're a very industry-minded person too, and as far as the advocacy goes, you and the whole organization over there. So really good to be on the team here. But yeah, Todd, thanks so much, brother. We'll talk to you again soon. I appreciate you coming back, and we'll catch up.
Okay, buddy. Thank you so much. Talk soon.
See you, Todd.
See you, brother. Bye.